Hello one and all, and thank you all for the continued awesome, fun comments on the videos. I will be putting out a video pretty soon where I respond to all of your comments, so whether you have a question or just something you want to say, I continue to encourage you to go ahead and leave a comment on this video. I'm going to pull from all of the videos and address what everybody's saying. There's a lot of Michael Brantley talk right now. I wanted to jump in really quickly because there's a handful of, you could say smaller White Sox notes, but who knows, maybe they'll become big White Sox notes. First off, fortunately, the White Sox are not heading to arbitration hearings with any of their players, meaning we have found agreements before the deadline with all three of our remaining arbitration eligible players. And really quickly, team, generally speaking, has 3 years of control where they can basically set whatever price they want, which is usually around league minimum. And then there's about 3 levels of raises that we call arbitration, because if the player and team, they don't see eye to eye on things, it goes to an arbiter and becomes a legal proceeding where somebody else, a third party, decides which number is the winning number. We don't have to worry about that because it can be a sticky issue. Famously, Ed Farmer, who passed away just about a year ago, he was the first person to win an arbitration case against the White Sox. Little fun trivia footnote for you. And when looking back at the video I did a few weeks back, looking at how much money was already on the White Sox books. Now, this was recorded right after Lance Lynn and Adam Eaton were added, so it was before we got Liam Hendriks. When we made some estimates of what our budget would be after arbitration, we see that Evan Marshall agreed to a 1-year, $2 million deal. He comes in a little bit less than what the estimate was. But conversely, Adam Engel, he agreed to a $1.375 million deal, which was a little bit more than his estimate. So those two balance out. Really interesting one is Lucas Giolito. He comes in at $4.15 million. For a first time through arbitration, that's a hefty raise above his, roughly league minimum amount, especially when considering he was estimated to just get $3.25 million. Now, I see that and I wonder, are the White Sox trying to build some goodwill here? Is it, if we guarantee about $1 million more than most people thought you were going to get, will this help us hammer out a long-term extension? One comment that's come up, which on the face of it makes perfect sense, which is why would Lucas Giolito agree to an extension now? Usually those extensions come earlier in a player's career when they're making league minimum and they want the guarantee that they're going to make the big money. He's at this point now where he is starting to get those big raises. And that's a totally valuable argument if you forget the fact that at the end of this season, we are going to head into a whole new round of negotiations between the league and the Players Association. There will be a new collective bargaining agreement. And something that happens historically is player salaries take a jump after that collective bargaining agreement goes into effect. So if the White Sox work out a long-term agreement now and even offer market value, so on the face of it, it's not like we're getting any hometown discount. We would be paying market value from here through however long we can extend him for. Once that new CBA comes into effect, that deal might start to look like a bargain. So there is value in still hammering out a deal from both sides, because Giolito is definitely not going to be getting an extension for anything less than $100 million, $150. He probably wouldn't get Kershaw type money yet. And then of course the White Sox are famous for not giving big long-term money to pitchers. But Giolito is proven enough. He has good mechanics. He doesn't seem like as much of an injury risk as a lot of other pitchers. And he's still young. Can't forget, although he seems to have that poise, whether he's giving an interview or he's facing a high stress moment, he has this poise that makes him seem much more mature. He is a younger guy still. So there's a lot of life left in his arm, a lot of innings to go. I'm still hopeful a full market value Lucas Giolito extension gets hammered out. A really interesting thing to note here is in this graph from Statista, this charts the average salary among Major League Baseball players over the last 17 years. And when you look at the last several years, it's really plateaued. This is something that you see historically over and over and over again until there's a work stoppage, a strike, or even just a revolutionary new CBA. There tends to be a big leap after that. So the fact that player salaries have not been improving that much over the last several years shows me that there is going to be a big change in the near future, and player salaries will take a sizable jump. There's one other element I forgot to mention when it came to the video I put out on Liam Hendriks. Amazingly, the Oakland A's, who I know are a generally speaking lower budget team, they did not give Liam Hendriks a qualifying offer. Now, had they done that, I can't remember what the number would be, around $18 million. It would have been a 1-year, $18 million guarantee. Hendriks would have had the option to stay for 1 more year at that rate, or he could have tested the open market. Chances are, even though that would have been a really nice high average annual value, 1 year, $18 million, chances are he would have hit the open market still trying to go for that bigger deal. Had everything played out exactly as it did and the White Sox ended up signing him for $54 million, it would have been really good for the A's and kind of tough for the White Sox, because what would have happened, and this didn't happen, the Oakland A's would have received another draft pick right after the first round, since they were a team that participates in revenue sharing and did not exceed the luxury tax. And because the White Sox, the signing team, were a team that did not exceed the luxury tax and also spent over $50 million on this player, the White Sox would have lost their second round draft pick. And in addition to losing our second round pick, we would have lost $500,000 in international bonus pool money. But he didn't get a qualifying offer, therefore the White Sox really don't have to worry about any of that stuff. But again, it's just more of what makes this signing look good. On a minor note, and I mean that quite literally because it's a minor league contract, and no sooner did I mention in my last video that I wonder what kind of interesting non-roster invitees would come to spring training this year from the left-hand side to try to compete maybe for an additional outfield spot or really for designated hitter. The White Sox signed Nick Williams to a pretty low money deal. If he makes the big league roster, he'll only make $900,000, but he is destined right now, as it stands, for the minor leagues. He was a top draft pick back in 2012, and he's had limited major league plate appearances. There's still potential in him. I think MLB Trade Rumors did a good job of summing it up when saying that this was a very, very low cost version of the Nomar Mazara signing. And yes, I might be burying the lead because who knows? These next players I'm going to talk about might end up being huge parts of the White Sox future. At the very least, right now, they are very exciting parts of the White Sox offseason. The international signing period was pushed back from the summer to now, which really messed up everything for everybody, both teams and how they budget their contract offers, but also all of the international players that are being cleared to be able to sign on with teams. They're kind of stuck in this weird limbo now because teams have already made their commitments, and now as I record this in mid-January, some other players have been deemed free agents, but by now teams have already allocated all of their international bonus pool money. Yoelqui Céspedes signed with the White Sox. He was considered one of the top, if not the top, possible international prospect, and the White Sox got him, which was very exciting. He is a half-brother of Yoelqui Céspedes. He is a little bit older to be an international prospect. He is, I believe, 23 years old, but he is still considered an outfielder with 5-tool potential. Makes you think of maybe a Luis Robert light. There's a big range of what we could reasonably expect from Céspedes. Anybody that thinks he's going to be instantly a Luis Robert type is probably setting the sights a little too high. But I've seen some other people put him down as kind of a light-hitting corner outfielder. But if that was the case, I think the White Sox would be okay with that. We have a need in the corner outfield. Of course, the first negative I have to bring up, as this comes up way too often, whether it's in comments or in the videos, is that he's yet another right-handed prospect the White Sox have. We just can't catch a break in looking for a lefty. But more outfield depth is always a positive, especially somebody that apparently has these great raw tools. And also, apparently, he's been spending the pandemic era just working out and getting more cut and in shape with his brother, who certainly also knows how to put on some muscle weight. Will he make an impact in the major league level this year? It is possible. Something that I find fascinating, though, is as the number one, according to MLB.com, it's the number one prospect, he signed for just about $2 million. So I wonder if there is some sort of implied deal that, hey, if you sign with us, give us a little bit of a discount so that we can sign a couple other names. One more I'll get to on this video. We'll make sure that you get up to the big leagues somewhat soon. You might remember that as being part of the deal for when we signed Chris Sale with Scott Boras, of course, hovering over every element of that negotiation. I'll link to this article I'm referencing in the description, but on CBS.com, they run down the top 10. Number 4 prospect, Carlos Colmerans, went to the Rays for $3 million. Armando Cruz, almost $4 million to the Nats. Christian Hernandez, $3 million. And even the number 7 prospect got $4 million. He went to the Astros. That's Pedro Leon. So for Céspedes to take just about $2 million, that seems like a discount he's giving the White Sox. Maybe it's the case that as a Cuban player, he wants to play on a team like the White Sox that has a great reputation for nurturing Cuban players. But I would have to assume, some people are wondering, is this guy going to be eventual trade bait, and maybe sooner than later, just a sign and trade type of thing? I would assume not, just based on the fact that he signed with us for a discount. There's probably some gentleman agreement that we are going to bring him up to our system. Something else very interesting to note on this top 10 list, the number 2 player, Oscar Colas. He is listed as TBD on this list because he didn't sign with anybody, because he just this weekend, as I'm recording this, finally got cleared to be a free agent and join the international pool. That said, this is a case of somebody that may have gotten screwed over by the fact that the pandemic pushed the signing back, because theoretically the White Sox would have made their signings of Céspedes and Vera in the summer. Colas would have gotten cleared today, and then he would have signed with the White Sox this coming summer. Well, now the signing periods are all pushed back and out of whack. There is some belief that Colas would have signed with the White Sox this summer. If he wants to sign with the White Sox, he's going to have to wait for an entire year for the next signing period to open up. Most of baseball has interest in Oscar Colas, and he apparently has a lot of interest in joining the White Sox. We really hope that happens. Again, he's a very highly touted prospect. He profiles as a right fielder, maybe first baseman, but here's the thing. Finally, he's a lefty. Now, you heard me just mention the name Vera. We also got a highly touted prospect, a right-handed starting pitcher by the name of Norge Vera, who is the son of a legendary Cuban pitcher. He's got a good selection of pitches that he profiles above average on in the 20 to 80 scouting report. In some circles, he actually profiles as a better prospect than Céspedes. I was quite curious where those two will fit in when you look at the White Sox top 30 prospects list. Fangraphs is being pretty conservative with him, putting Norge Vera at number 14 and Céspedes at number 25. Whether they are still there at the end of spring training, who knows? Now that people are going to get a chance to see them this coming spring, I'm excited about that. They might move, but we'll see. Now, there's been a couple of other free agent signings by other teams of players that I would not have minded seeing come to the White Sox, and I just wanted to touch on that really quickly. A one that got away type of player for me is Archie Bradley. He signed with the Phillies. Really solid reliever, mostly out of Arizona. Absolutely, I would have loved to see him as a setup man for the White Sox. And he signed for not that much money. It was 1 year and $6.1 million. Easily, the White Sox should have been in on him for that price, but we wouldn't have been able to offer the closer role. Different players have a different checklist to go down when they're trying to find their next team. If somebody was purely trying to go to a winner, they probably would have picked the White Sox or many other different teams over the Phillies. This guy was probably wanting to show off that he's a closer in a larger market as well, and be able to turn getting a lot of saves into a big multi-year deal moving forward. If it was possible, I would have loved to see him on the south side, but didn't quite work out. And these last two I will lump together because they have a similar profile in a way. Both Corey Kluber, who signed with the Yankees, and Alex Wood, who signed with the San Francisco Giants. Those are two guys that are great veterans that would be an interesting addition as the 5th starter on the White Sox staff. I would still love to see them sign a veteran, an innings eater type. And in a way, those guys would fit, but at the same time, they have been big injury risks the last couple of years. Wood signed for just $3 million, but Kluber signed for $11 million with the Yankees, which was a little bit surprising to me that he got so much. I would have understood a more of an incentive-laden contract, but hey, apparently that's what the market was, so that's what he got. Good for him. Well, I would have been more than okay with them joining the White Sox team. At the same time, I wouldn't want our number 5 starter being somebody that takes up the majority of the attention of our training staff. So seeing those guys go to another team, not that big of a deal to me. For any of you who are wondering, now that all of the arbitration cases are settled, and now that Liam Hendriks has joined the team, the White Sox are still underneath that luxury tax threshold by $45.6 million. So we still do have a lot of wiggle room if we wanted to add another major player, or even 2 somewhat significant pieces. Do I see that happening? Maybe. I always love leaving space for a midseason acquisition too, and of course, if you hit the luxury tax threshold, that doesn't mean that you're screwed. You're allowed to go past it. You just have to pay a little bit of a penalty. And if the Sox go past it, go us. It would be the first time ever that the White Sox do. Personally, I don't think the White Sox could pass the luxury tax threshold this offseason if they tried. And I'm saying that to challenge them. Let's see if we can actually spend some bigger money and maybe get another high-end pitcher somehow. If we somehow were able to get via trade, probably an expensive left-handed hitter to be our DH. Bring him on. This 2021 season is already going to be a blast. Let's just keep going. In the meantime, keep leaving your comments. Thanks for everybody who already has. Anything else White Sox related you want to chat, we will chat. I've been teasing forever a video just about Luis Roberts' contract. I'm done with my writing on it. I'm just going to have to sit down and edit it and put it out there. But that's actually going to be the next video unless news breaks first. Thanks for watching. Go White Sox, and I'll see you on the next one.